Okay, without further ado, we are going to dive right in. And this panel is meant for you to talk to some of our alumni and or MHCID survivors, as it were, and just hear a little bit about their experience in the program, what they've done since, how they're applying this in the real world in their jobs every day. I have a few questions that I'm going to ask them, and then we're going to open up the floor, and I think probably what we'll do is I'll stand up here with a microphone and folks can come up and ask questions. So I think this is going to move for you guys. I'd love to start with an introduction for each of you. This might be a little. And if you could tell me your name, what cohort you were in, and what you were doing before you joined the program, and then your job and what you're doing now. It's a lot to remember, I'll remind you.
I'm Suzanne Shu. Before, I was in the very first class of MHCID, so the class of 2014. Before coming to the program, I was interning at Oracle doing user experience research, and now I work at Deloitte Digital as a user experience designer.
Hi, I'm Tony Ip. I'm the cohort 2, second year. And before the program, I worked as a designer and art director in ad agencies. I also did several startup attempts that didn't go as planned. And what was the question? Your job? So currently I'm contracting at Disney, which is right across the street, as an interaction designer.
So I'm Ocasio. I am from cohort 2, just like Tony. Before MHCID, I was, my background is in architecture. I was doing retail design in Portugal. And currently, I am a UX designer at Zillow.
Hi, I'm Unnati Dani. And before this class, I was from Mumbai, one place where it rains more than Seattle. And in Mumbai, I worked for 7 years in design consultancies as a multidisciplinary designer. And I'm from class 1, which is like the inaugural class.
Thank you. Okay, so first question. You do not all have to answer this question, but certainly you may. You can have a pass if you want. I'd like for each of you to name one skill, method, or topic you learned from MHCID that you use in your job most.
Sure, I'll start. I don't know if it's just one, but I use a lot of the ideation, kind of concept formation things. At Deloitte Digital, we try to do a lot of forward-thinking initiatives, like rather than just waiting for people to bring projects to us, we want to think about what kind of projects can we come up with that we can sell to clients or things like that. And it's always just really big problem spaces, like how can we, what is the future of banking, or what is the future of hotels? So all the methods that I used in Capstone, all the different types of like frameworks and diagramming, beyond just affinity diagramming, I use that a lot. Frameworks.
So one of the skills I think I for sure I learned was how to work well and effectively with the other team members. So the cohort, the Capstone team we have is 3 people, and which is pretty small. I have a design background, and my other 2 teammates had an engineering background. So everyone in the team, we had to be the PM, we had to be the product, we had to be basically everyone in the agile team. So I think having all these roles kind of shaped me to better understand what other people, how to work well within a larger team. So, yeah.
Let's see, I'll agree. I agree with everything that was said before, same stuff. I would say for me, it's been the keeping it low fidelity, the ideation, the coming up with crazy ideas sometimes, what I wasn't used to before. And also the taking charge. Like you want to do something, you do it. You don't wait for somebody to ask you to do it. You don't just go and do it. So that's been very valuable in the job right now.
Okay, next question. What was the biggest surprise about transitioning from graduate student to working professional? Was there anything about that was something you didn't expect?
So for me, my biggest surprise is like how relevant this program is and how successful I could be. Like within the first 6 months of me joining Microsoft, I made my first presentation to Satya. And yeah, and being able to present to 180,000 employees with like confidence was amazing, and also getting the recognition and reward was fun. I wasn't prepared for some of those things, but I think when I graduated, I realized how Linda and the class over prepared me for a lot of things, and it helped me.
Yeah, it's up to top that one. I found out that you can have a froyo machine at work. But yes, it's still, I agree, it's totally, the responsibility was completely surprising, the amount of confidence that they entrust in you. I'm designing Zillow's, I'm the youngest designer and I'm designing Zillow's money-making machine. Like, it's insane, the amount of responsibility that they give you straight out of college. And that's what you can possibly expect at work. Yeah.
They have a money-making machine?
So for me, I think the biggest surprise was the technical and business constraints that we have to work around. So Disney is a pretty old company, so it actually has a lot of business constraints that we have to follow. So in the program, a lot of the projects we worked on were sort of like startup projects, so we had a lot of flexibility and that we can go around. So definitely the business constraints.
I think when I started working, there were two things that were surprising for me. One was that there wasn't, I don't know, I just expected there to be like someone telling me more what to do or like how to do things, and I thought there'd be, I just remember like group projects in school, I was like, oh, this is so hard because like, you know, no, there's not a manager and no one has the final say, but when I go to work, it'll be different because there'll be more structure, but like, it's just not like that, it's the same. And so I think that was surprising, just kind of like how flat our organization is, and you face like the same team problems like that you're facing in all your group projects now. So a lot of those skills that I learned about team projects, that has come in really useful. So that was surprising to me. Yeah, I think the second thing that was surprising was how hard it is to sell people sometimes on like the value of research and going through like a proper user-centered design process and getting inputs from actual users. People just think that you can, I don't know, they just want me to like redesign things without a why or actually being able to go out to users. So yeah, that was a bit surprising.
Why don't you actually go to the next question?
Sure. What was my favorite elective or project while at MHCID? I had two. One, the prototyping studio was really awesome. It was so fun, like getting hands-on every week and getting to create awesome things. I think also just that everyone like went so above and beyond every week to make amazing things. I think just not only going through the process myself, but getting there on Friday and seeing what everybody else had done during the week was really awesome. And then I took a visual design elective through HCD, and that has been really, really helpful. Because like a lot of my work is doing wireframes and things, and I refer to the things that I was taught in that class a lot about designing on a grid and hierarchy and things like that.
My favorite elective would probably be the one that Linda thought. It was independent studies. We worked on a project that, we continue on a project based on the prototype final project. We were attempting to put out on a Kickstarter as well, but unfortunately the capstone project was actually a lot more than what I imagined, a lot more work than I imagined. So we didn't get to to put that on a Kickstarter, but we got pretty far, and I'm pretty proud of that too.
See, my favorite elective or project. I know James is here, but I liked Intro to HCI. Very much, actually. I took
already
it
issued grades.
in 2014. I took it in the fall, and it was great because you got like a sample of the whole process of what it takes from the user, the research, you know, testing the stuff out, coming up with ideas and things like that. And so that was super valuable. Maybe that actually, I presented that at Zillow, so maybe that actually got me the job. I don't know.
For me, I would say I took physical computing, which Andrew taught. And it was like my favorite class because I had a lot of depth in design, and this is the first time I started showing the breadth I could have with like actually building Arduino prototypes and being able to do a lot beyond my design skills was something that really was appreciated when I started interviewing.
Great. Okay, last big question, and then we open it up to the crowd. What advice would you give to future cohorts?
I think my one big piece of advice is just take all your team projects as a learning experience. It's not going to be different in work. You're still going to work with people with really diverse personalities. So yeah, team projects are hard, but learn how to pitch your ideas, how to work with different people, how to be diplomatic. Yeah, I think that'll really benefit you once you get into work.
I would say work hard and network with other people as well. I remember last year actually I was here doing a hackathon and met a lot of great people here and actually won first place here as well. So network. Go to seminars, go to, you know, just be busy. Keep busy.
I would say one of the things that worried me the most was getting a job, and I would tell you guys to. I know it's hard, easier said than done, but I would tell you guys to not worry as much about that as, you know, just don't have that pressure. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Wait until the capstone. Maybe send some stuff out. Just don't worry about that. Focus on this goes by so fast that, you know, you should just focus on this, and you know the job will come. It will. It'll be fine. The program really prepares you for it, but yeah, just don't worry about it.
I would say treat this program as a workout. Like, push yourself as hard as you can. If you're feeling comfortable, then you're not pushing yourself hard. And trust me, the muscles you'll build with pushing yourself hard is gonna work for you. And just don't get comfortable and learn how to be uncomfortable, is how Alex would put it for us.
Great. Thank you. So just a quick note for the video. What's going to be the easiest for the crowd asking questions? Do you want me to field questions and repeat them, or do you want me to pass the mic? You want me to field them
and repeat.
Okay. So great. So I'm going to stand up so I can see everybody. So I would welcome all of you asking questions, anything you're curious about. Well, we have this captive panel up here. Current students, future prospective students, faculty. Any questions? Yeah.
I guess my question would be, when you're looking at job listings online, usually it's saying like, you know, 2 to 5 years experience, preferred, that kind of thing. How has your experience been with interviewing and things like that, of how they value the program versus those 2 or more specific years in like user experience?
Do you need me to repeat that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the question is, when you're reading job descriptions and they ask for 2 or more years of work experience, how does being in the program compare to 2 to 3 years work experience, or how do you address those requirements in a job description when you're coming right out of the program?
Yeah.
I would say just go ahead and apply. I'm helping with recruiting at Deloitte now, and it's really hard, but you just get so many applicants. I don't even look to see, like, I don't even have time to look to see, like, oh, how many years of experience does this person have? We go to the career fairs, and that's the main way that we recruit. So I just want to know that you're a good fit for the type of work that we do, that's what you're interested in, and that you've done some kind of like interesting project that you're passionate about and you get excited about different problem spaces. So I wouldn't worry about that at all. Nobody has like that much time to, I don't even know like what they put on our website as far as like requirements for the positions. I just like meet people at the career fair and I'm like, yeah, I like you and you, I really like, yeah, I like that project that you worked on, and that's, you know, I like your process and that you're excited about it. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about the requirements so much.
Anyone else want to address that?
So my team has like 10 plus open headcounts right now, and one of the lead was asked to write a description, and he just made it up. So a lot of these descriptions are not like really meant to be the fit criteria. It's just something, someone's under pressure and they're just putting it up. So just feel free to.
Okay, I'm going to give you a slightly different perspective. In general, what most people know or understand is that job descriptions are an idealized wish list. And the use of 2 to 3 years of experience is one way that companies can signify that they're looking for certain skills or experience that you have, and they can't predict whether you get that through a program. So, you know, it's like the equivalent of 2 to 3 years experience, but I would always encourage you to apply even if you don't have exactly what the job description looks for. Other questions? Okay, go ahead.
Now that you've all completed the program and have been out for a couple of years, what are some things you wish you had done to prepare, or what are some things that you did do to prepare that you were particularly helpful for doing all the program and beyond?
Okay, so the question is about, now that you have 20/20 hindsight, what are some of the things you did to prepare or wish that you did to prepare? Did I get that right?
For the program
Okay.
specifically.
For the program.
I think a lot of people will tell you, if not everyone will tell you, it goes by really fast, more than you would ever expect when you start. So I guess the best thing I did was to sort of plan what I wanted to focus on, what electives I wanted to choose, because you can go as deep as you want to, or just go as high level as you want to. It just depends on what you got to see what you want to get out of it, and then from there, plan accordingly. So yeah, that was probably one of the most helpful things. Yeah.
I would agree. I think the more planning you do ahead of time, the more you know like what you want to get out of it and what role you're going for, the more beneficial it'll be, because you have a lot of options when it comes to electives, but you really want to like pick those electives so that you get the skills that you want, and the portfolio pieces that you need to land a job. You don't really have time in the year to like deep dive into programming or visual design, and so if you do want to do that, I would do that ahead of time. I took a few quarters of programming classes ahead of time, because that's just not something you have time for during the program, and I think that was really beneficial.
So speaking of portfolio and planning, I think one thing that I did was I documented everything that I did in this whole program. So it was very useful to after I graduated to create that portfolio so that I can land a job.
I do that.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Sarah? Yeah? Yes, so the question is if you could describe the typical interview experience and or how to prepare for interviews. And it might be nice to add in there how each of you kind of found your job.
Let's see, I ended up interviewing at Google and Zillow. I was fortunate enough Zillow just extended a job pretty quickly, like in the day after pretty much. But the process was pretty much the same, which was you introduce yourself, or at least that's the way I did it. You introduce yourself, you talk about what your background is, and because they want to know you as a person, because they're going to work with you. It's very valuable to know you as a person, not just your projects, not just your curriculum and all your resume. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much as knowing you as a person and knowing your process and things like that. After that, it was pretty much showing the projects I selected, some things from my past possibly, and you know, things that I value, what I would change, which actually was a very interesting thing because some of these projects were a year old, and you know, when you're applying for jobs in the summer, you did jobs in the fall that, or you did projects in the fall that you may have wanted to change. So showing them that, you know, maybe I would change this now, because the job is never done, especially in digitally, it's like things are always changing. So being able to say, you know, maybe I would change this now, I think it's very valuable for them to see, like, you're not super attached to this, you know that it can be better, and that's all they care about, because it's part of your process. The process is you do it, and then you redo it constantly, because you want it to be better all the time. So just to be able to show that, I think is very valuable during your presentation. Let's see, to prepare. It's kind of prepare in the process, I guess. You know, the whiteboarding. Whiteboarding is very valuable to all these companies. It's insane how much whiteboarding they make you do during interviews. I think I did 5 hours of whiteboarding. It's crazy. Different projects. Google.
Can you explain what whiteboarding is?
Oh yeah. So whiteboarding is they're gonna ask you to do this imaginary project. I found out at Zillow actually that they asked me to do a real project, but I didn't know at the time. So let's imagine it's this imaginary project and just use the whiteboard. Like I've heard about a lot of bad interviews where people would just be sitting down and talking about this. No, like ask about who the user is, ask about what is important to the user, ask about all these details that will, then you can just kind of whiteboard an experience, a flow that goes from start to finish. And they don't care about the end result. There's no right answer to this. They're not expecting a right answer. They're just expecting you to use the whiteboard to write down what's valuable, to ask the right questions. Right questions being, you know, what exists, what the user values, you know, just ask questions. It doesn't even matter what it is sometimes. Just ask questions, because that's what a UX person sometimes does. It just asks questions. And yeah, just whiteboard the process.
Oh, sorry. Did you want to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay.
To prepare for my interview, I Googled a lot about design interviews, and that was actually really helpful. There's like lots of questions online. And there was even like a blog post by somebody at Google, and he was like, this is how I recruit, this is kind of the design challenge that I do with them. I would definitely be prepared to do an in-person design challenge, like some kind of whiteboard thing. But you can look up questions online, and I mean, honestly, like I'm recruiting now and I get questions offline, so. Yeah, I also did a portfolio review with Linda, which was super, super helpful. So if you can get her time or somebody else's time to review your projects, and just to get an outside perspective about kind of like how you should pitch that and how you should talk about your experience, that's really helpful.
Okay, so I know one of you has a hard stop in a few minutes. We'll take 1 or 2 more quick questions and then we'll open up for more informal. Yeah.
So I actually have a kind of a 2-part question. I've been told by a couple of current students and previous students that the program has been very iterative, taking a lot of feedback. So what feedback have you given, if any? And then Linda, how has that been incorporated? You're on the spot.
Yes. Okay, well, I will just lead it off by saying we are iterative because that's what we teach.
Right.
And we practice what we preach. But we've had the benefit of having really engaged, thoughtful cohorts who always give us vocal feedback. So I'll let you guys speak to that.
I don't remember.
So for me, it was like a lot of my time is spent like between deciding the electives and between which one to pick. And I think a lot of help came from Linda on helping me pick my electives. And also I took like an independent study with her, which was like super helpful. And that was not like, everybody didn't know about it. And I was like, you should tell about that particular class. Because I've heard like almost everyone who's taken independent study with her has basically benefited from it. So I would say just, I know it's a lot of time for her, but make sure you guys know that she takes some of those classes.
I think maybe Linda, you know better what feedback my class gave, because I don't know if you still do this, but our system was like we elected a class representative every quarter, and so we would all talk together, and then the representative was responsible for giving that feedback up to kind of the steering committee or the committee over the program. I know between my year and the next year, I think even the structure, like the order of the core classes changed, so that was based on feedback. I know a lot of the assignments have changed, some of the logistics around capstone have changed, so yeah, a lot has changed, and it was all things, yeah, things have changed for better.
We always encourage each cohort to formulate their own path for how they will give us feedback. We always welcome feedback. Again, it's part of the design process. There are constraints in terms of the structure of the program and the resources we have to run it that, there are certain things I can't go beyond, but we're always interested in the cohort's experience. Every cohort is unique, we've learned. We've learned that sometimes I might have a tendency to overcorrect for the past group when I've got a whole different group. So we try to be rapidly iterative within the constraints of our program. I guess the other thing is that now that we've gone through 3 years, we do see certain cyclical patterns of when cohorts are most anxious or when they are confused about trusting the process. And we now recognize those times and those rhythms and those signals, and we sometimes have to just have a message of hang in there, it gets better, I know this is a bump in the road, I know you're anxious, but we've done this isn't our first rodeo, and just, hang in there and go with us. So there are those moments as well. We consult our illustrious executive committee, all of our faculty from other departments who helped design and frame this program from their great experience. And so they're a sounding board for us when we have a question about, students are concerned about this, here's what we think, what are your thoughts, help us shape this or frame this. So we like to see an ongoing engagement from the cohorts in shaping the program within reason, because the domain that you are entering does not stand still, right? The technologies, the methods, all of those are rapidly evolving, and we certainly cannot expect to prepare you to enter that field if we aren't keeping up with those things and keeping in touch with those. And so we engage industry folks and bring them into the classroom as well to make sure that they're keeping us honest. And we continue to engage our alumni who still come back and give us feedback and participate with cohorts. So those are all the things that we do. Hopefully did that address your, yeah, right? Okay, maybe one last quick question, otherwise we can break up and you can continue the questions and the conversations informally. Any other last questions? Miss Larson. Posters. Yeah, so I mentioned before, in fact, since capstones have come up, we're doing something slightly different this year. Students have initiated thematic topics, and they're in the process of refining and pitching those ideas and narrowing them down. So they have some draft posters in the other room. You're welcome to comment on those with Post-its, give them feedback or your thoughts on those topics. And for prospective students, it's a good way to get out there and see what are the kinds of topics students are coming up with. What are the questions they're asking that they want to explore through technology and design? Thank you for your time and attention and for coming. And again, thanks to our hosts. And we have the space until about 8:30, so please enjoy.